Hey friends, it's Laura with Laura's Handmade Haven. Welcome or welcome back. I'm so glad you joined me today. So I'm sitting here at my sewing machine and I'm just doing my thing and I'm thinking, oh wow, this would make a great little quick video for you guys. There are so many times that I start up a project and then I'm like, wow, okay, I don't want to have to make 40 of these blocks. It's going to be so boring. And so I start looking and decide how to break the block down, make it more efficient, how to speed up my process, and how to keep all of the pieces working correctly, because believe it or not, there are some times that I'm working with a block that you make the same block over and over, but then you make a mistake somewhere and you're like, ah, crud, and you have to take the whole block apart. So instead of doing that, what I typically try to do for my own brain and sanity is I look at the block and I break it down into different elements. And then if I have 20 of those blocks to make, then I'll make that one step 20 times and I'll chain piece it through my machine. And it just makes me feel like I'm getting somewhere, that I have this one little piece of the puzzle. I'm not waiting for an entire block to be completed, but I have, 20 pieces of something done for the block. And this came into play because I am making two Mizzou quilts, one for me, one for my stepdaughter, because we're both graduating from Mizzou this year. She's getting her bachelor's, I'm getting my master's, and we got to show some Mizzou pride. So black and gold, right? So I designed this quilt in EQ8, and there's a picture right here, and I did a little video on just my process of working with EQ8 too, and just how I went about that. Now please keep in mind that I am not an EQ8 expert. I am learning as I go and picking up tips and tricks as I can, and of course I want to share those with you because I know that some of us also are getting EQ8 for the first time, and there may be something that I stumbled upon that you didn't, and please leave me comments on that video and this one and tell me things that you stumbled upon that I should know about in EQ8 as well. So here's where my problem came in when I started to do my block. The block that I'm working on today is the paw print block. So it looks like this. And I printed out of EQ8 and it has all the pieces up here, which is amazing. And it also prints out the pieces, how to cut them for this block. The problem I ran into was that not all the pieces were listed. So there were several of the pieces in the block that I had to figure out the math and figure out how big they were supposed to be and how many to cut. And I had to work it all out. And to be quite honest with you, the first block I put together, the dimensions on a couple of my pieces were not right. So I had to take it apart, trim them down. Thankfully they were too big, but had to trim them down, put it back together, and then they still didn't come together correctly when I had the whole block put together. So I had to adjust that for the next one. So that's just my friendly little tip and advice there for you. If you're working with EQ8, check the block and make sure all of your letters are listed for that block pattern. And if not, do the math and make sure you give yourself some grace, because you will most likely need to figure out the dimensions on the missing pieces if you do really want to use that block in your design. So I have 20 of these sweet little paw prints done. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to show you what I'm doing at the sewing machine just to kind of speed up the process and what I've already done, because to be quite honest with you, I have done quite a bit already. First of all, because of the block pattern that I had from EQ8, when I cut out my pieces, they all had a letter associated with them. And I put them on a design board and I clipped the letter to the piece, and that way I had all of my pieces and they were all laid out where they're supposed to be, and I knew which ones I had cut, which ones I didn't, which pieces I had sewn together, which ones I hadn't, etc., etc., etc. And it really gave me a great way to keep my block organized. Now I do have 20 of these to do, and I went ahead and I cut out 20 after that first trial run, went ahead and cut out 20 blocks, and this design board actually fits inside my project box. So when I'm not working on it, all I have to do is close this right up, and all those pieces are safe and sound inside. They're not going to be flying around my craft space, and they're not going to be getting lost. So if you have design boards, check to see if they'll fit inside your project box. Another thing is, if you don't have design boards, check out my video, because I show you how you can make them without any hot glue and duct tape, and you can actually sew them on your sewing machine if you get foam core board as your base for your design boards. So check that out if you haven't, and that way if you don't have a design board that fits your project box, then you can make one of your very own, and it can have your very favorite fabric as the binding around the edges. So first thing I did when I started looking at this block, I started to decide what can I do in this block 20 or 40 times over, depending on which piece I'm working with, to get one little piece of the puzzle done. And I chose to go with these lower little toe beans here. And these have the same little squares in the corner just to give that cute little stitch and flip corner. And it's kind of a one corner snowball effect, right? So these squares are the same size, so I divided them into 2 stacks of 20, and I put the little squares where they were going to be, and I sewed all of those through my machine. So I did all 40 of those pieces as a chain piece through my machine, then I trimmed them down and I left them. I did not press them because this little outer strip of fabric right here is sewn onto it. So I just went ahead and sewed those down before I went ahead and pressed these over. There was no reason to do that. And then I also went ahead and sewed this top little strip of fabric. And so I basically ended up with a piece of my paw that looks like this. And I have these done for both sides of my paw. Next, I looked back at the paw pattern and I thought, what else can I do? And I thought, oh, well, I can do those little stitch and flip corners here for my top toe beans. So that's exactly what I did. I went ahead and did all the stitch and flip corners, and then I went ahead and sewn those into the little segment. Now, these still need pressed, but these are ready to go into my block, because when you look at the block, the next thing I'm gonna have to do is sew the strip on the bottom here, and then I can sew these outer toe beans to the inner toe beans, and the top part of my block will be done and ready to go. All right, so those are all waiting over on the ironing board for me to get to them and press them all flat. That way I can sew that next little piece on there and get all my little toe beans put together. So the next thing I did, because this is all a process, right? The next thing I did was I looked and saw, well, you know what? The paw, it also has a snowball effect. So I need to go ahead and get all of those onto my paw. I actually have started to sew on the side pieces too, but I did the snowballing of the paw, and I'll sew on the 2 side pieces, and that's going to put this middle section of the paw together for me. So at that point, I'll have the top section, the middle section, and then all I have left is that bottom strip. Now, but let's talk about breaking down the cutting for the quilt itself, because it is actually all cut out for the most part. I think I have 2 pieces that aren't cut yet because I wanted to make sure they're the right dimensions. So what I did on my handy dandy little quilt pattern here, this is the pattern that is printed out from EQ8, and it doesn't show any dimensions on it, which is kind of a bummer because it also doesn't have like a list of things that you're cutting. So you had to kind of go by block and figure it out. So what I did was I just got my fabrics out, got them laid out, and decided, okay, I'm gonna cut all the gold patterned blocks. And how big are those? Okay, well, those are 6.5 inches, and how many do I need? And then as I cut things out, I just used a highlighter and crossed them out on the pattern. So you can see I have all my little paw prints here to make. I do have the MIZ and the ZOUs made for both of the quilts, which is super exciting. And the only piece that I definitely have to cut out is this one little corner piece up here, just because I'm not positive the way I'm gonna do this corner yet. So we're gonna have to kind of work on that when I get to it. So, but this is kind of how I kept track. As I cut my borders, I crossed it off. As I cut, and all of those are labeled too. In fact, let me grab that box and show you that. All right, so as I was going through my pattern and cutting different things out, what I was doing was I was labeling them with sizes and location on the actual pattern itself. So like this one, I know these are gonna be the letter and paw strips. And then everything else is labeled too. So no matter what it is, if it's the border strip, if it's the outer border, inner border, whatever it is, all of those are labeled and they're in my little project box. Now, like I said, I'm doing 2 of these quilts. So I actually have 2 project boxes because that way I don't get mixed up and think, oh wait, did I use that? Did I not use that? Why do I have more of these than I should? There's 2 boxes, 2 quilts. So 1 box for each quilt, and everything's labeled in each box. So, and the extra blocks for like the MIZ and the paws and all of that will go into the second quilt box because I plan on putting 1 quilt top together just to see how it goes before I assemble the second one. So that way everything keeps organized, everything stays where it should be, and I don't lose track of my pieces, and I don't lose track of my train of thought, which, let's be honest, that does kind of happen sometimes. I hope that helps, just seeing how I'm breaking down this project and just how you can take a block of any sort and just look at it and decide, okay, well, I can do this top corner, I can do this middle section, oh, this thing has to happen before this can happen. And that way you can just like get little pieces of the block together. And so instead of doing one block at a time, which is perfectly fine, if that's your process and that's what you like doing, that's fine, but try it sometime. Try a chain piecing type thing, try an assembly line type thing, and see what you think. Because I'm telling you, sometimes it's really helpful to be able to do the same piece of the block over and over and over. And I've found that I have less mistakes when I do that. Now, I will also caution you and say, since you're chain piecing like that, and let's say you do 20 of the little sections, make sure they're correct before you cut anything and you continue on, because if you have one wrong, chances are you have all of them wrong. So do a couple, check them, make sure they're right, and then continue on and do all of your chain piecing for one section of your block, and then build out from there and decide, I can do the top portion, I can do the middle portion, I can do the bottom portion, whatever your process is, however you can break it down in your mind and break that block down to get it into an assembly chain piecing type scenario. I'm promising you it will be a lot more efficient with your time in the sewing room. And let's be honest, most of us have limited time for crafting. And so when I'm in here, I want to try to get done as much as I can. I love this hobby and I love this craft, but I also, at the end of the day, I want to get the project done, because if the project never gets done, I don't feel like I've accomplished anything at all. So anything I can do to help speed it up a little bit, but still get that great end result, that's a win for me. And so do you have another tip that you would like to share? Leave me in a comment down below and let me know. What's your greatest tip in the craft room on how to be efficient with your time? Until next time, find joy in all you do. Carve out some time for crafting and creating. And remember, it's always better when you make stuff up.